Karaoke is a platform for young aspiring singers to shine and express their musical abilities. Tune in to CBC TV8 on Mondays at 5:30 p.m. and repeat it on Saturdays at 2 p.m. and enjoy the performances of these talented young singers.
For the past 19 years, QFM has been sharing with you, learning from you, and together building a community for all mature audiences. That's why we say Q is good for you. To our Q family, we say thank you for staying connected to Q 100.7 FM. QFM is a station of the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation. CBC, celebrating 60, connecting Barbadian communities. Are you a youth group, 4-H club, school, Cub Scout or Brownie Pack, or any organization or club with children ages 4 to 11 years? If yes is the answer, then we at Fun School, we're looking for you. Let's have fun singing, dancing, listening to amazing stories, doing craft, and so much more. I'm such a kid at heart. But to be part of this fun and exciting new season of Fun School, just simply send an email to Alicia Alves Grant at aa.grant@cbc.bb for further details. Fun School is back, and we're looking for you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb, and together we will travel the world.
Oh, hi. My name is Stacey Whitaker, and I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist and a member of the Heart and Stroke Childhood Obesity Prevention Coalition. My motto is, when in doubt, leave it out, and it goes for when I'm eating, because sometimes things have ingredients that we're not sure of, and I like to keep it simple. And if I'm eating something and I'm not sure the ingredients in that particular thing, then I choose to leave it out. So I keep my snacking simple with fruit, nuts, or just water. It's easy to remember, there's no added ingredients, and it's also very nutritious. So remember, childhood obesity is real, so choose healthier alternatives, and when in doubt, leave it out.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb. From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our
Good morning, I'm Wendy Burke, and this is the CBC Morning Report for Wednesday, January 10th. In our top story, expansion for the Rotary Club of Barbados West Ellen Steinbach hearing program, as the Ministry of Education opens it up to another level of students. Education Minister Kay McConney expressed gratitude at the launch and outlined the other age groups as well as other key areas which testing will be done in.
We are grateful again, evening of thanks, for the expansion that they have given in the program this year that goes beyond infants B now to include also our class 4s. And I share that in the context too of a meeting we had this morning with the doctors and the senior minister and the Minister of State and of course this entire Ministry of Education. We met this morning, and one of the areas we discussed was the diagnostic testing, which is part of the proposals for education transformation, that we extend the testing not only to auditory, that we would also do the sight as well as speech. And this morning's meeting revealed to us the doctors, including the Pediatrics Association. They came in as an association that wanted to give us advice as to what are the correct ages at which we should be doing this testing, the frequency, as well as what additional resources will be required at this stage.
The meetings yielded that the ministry has to find a pathway to help those whose parents did not carry them for this type of checkup.
Those parents who were health seeking, whose children were diagnosed for auditory challenges, that those are actually treated in a significant way. They therefore said to us that this program that we have, especially doing that intervention at Infants B, is good because it provides a catch for those students that did not go through the growth and development aspect. So I want to say thank you for that. We also noticed, even as we screened over the last several years, that the number of those parents, even though there's access, it is not mandatory by government. And so some of those students who did not get tested at Infants B, we now give them the opportunity to be tested at class 4 level. For a number of reasons. Some had transportation issues, some parents had all kinds of different issues, and therefore to do it at these 2 levels have certainly been sanctioned by our Ministry of Health and Wellness and our Pediatrics Association. In addition, as I said, this diagnostic testing is not just about the auditory, even though we celebrate our partners today who will continue as part of the Ellen Steinbach hearing screening program to continue to work with us. But we know as part of education transformation, there is also the testing. We have continued significant work in that regard, and we will be continuing again. In fact, I believe in another week or 2, we should then be continuing the tester site. What the Pediatrics Association as well as the Ministry of Health and Wellness have said to us, there are 2 stages at which we ought to be doing the site, at the 3 to 5 and at the 10 to 12. And therefore, it is with that we will be making the proposals that when we do move to full diagnostic testing across all schools, that we take the advice of our Ministry of Health and our Pediatrics Association.
President of Rotary West, Gail Reeves, looked back at the project which began in the schools with island-wide screening of Infant B students and the numbers they were able to capture.
With parental permission, we screened 1,914 students. Of the 84 children referred for follow-up, 8 children received services for impacted wax removal. 2 children were treated for middle ear infections, and 4 Infants B children with permanent hearing loss were identified and fitted with hearing aids. Last school year, 2022-23, of the 1,657 Infants B students screened, 183 were referred for follow-up. Of those children who have been evaluated to date, and I should include that the evaluation of those students is still ongoing, but those students who have been evaluated to date by the Barbados Speech and Hearing Center, it was found that 7 children required wax removal. 3 children were treated for middle ear infections, and another 4 children with permanent hearing loss have once again been identified.
Coming up on the CBC Morning Report, former U.S. President Trump argues in court he should be immune from prosecution. A panel of U.S. Appeals Court judges appeared deeply skeptical of Donald Trump's claim that as a former president, he should be immune from prosecution on charges that he conspired to overturn the 2020 United States election. The 77-year-old Trump attended the appeal court hearing held under tight security in a federal courthouse on Tuesday, just blocks away from the U.S. Capitol stormed by his supporters on January 6, 2021.
Judges appeared skeptical of his argument for total immunity. Prosecutors said he was acting as a candidate at the time when pursuing false claims President Joe Biden stole the election from him. Patty Culhane has more from the courthouse in Washington, D.C.
A potentially very significant hearing here in Washington, D.C. in front of three appellate judges. This is all about Donald Trump's charges that he tried to overturn the election. He's facing 4 felony counts with a potential of up to 55 years in prison. He's appealed to the judge saying that he's immune from prosecution. His trial judge denied that, so now he is sent it to the appeals court, and the 3-judge panel heard arguments today. Now, he is basically saying that because he's president, he's immune. Then because of the separation of powers, the Justice Department can't go after him. And because anything he does in office under its official capacity, that means he's immune. Prosecutors say he was acting as a candidate, and that would set a horrible precedent in the future if presidents were allowed to commit crimes in office and not be able to be held criminally liable. Now, Trump made sure, he didn't have to, but he made sure to attend this hearing today and spoke with the media in a room just down the road from here, again claiming that he is a victim.
I feel that as a president, you have to have immunity. Very simple. And if you don't, as an example, if this case were lost on immunity and I did nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong, I'm working for the country. And I worked on very hard on voter fraud because we have to have free elections. We have to have strong borders. We have to have free elections. Those two things almost above all.
The outcome of this case is potentially very significant, not just for Donald Trump, but for the presidential election. In a recent poll, 24% of his supporters said if he's convicted on this case, that he shouldn't be on the ballot.
United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken has urged Israel to avoid further civilian harm in its war in Gaza and to seek a path towards the creation of a Palestinian state as a way to resolve the long-running wider conflict. In a Tel Aviv meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Tuesday, Blinken stressed the importance of protecting civilian infrastructure in Gaza.
Most of it was everything we've been hearing before, talking about how the US is a very good friend with Israel, that they have the right to defend itself. And actually, when we asked them a question as Al Jazeera around the situation and the number of civilians killed, his response to that was that Israel had the right to defend itself. itself and will continue to do so, and that Hamas had a choice on October the 8th for it to disarm itself, to hand over the captives, and really putting the blame on Hamas, saying that this war is continuing because of that. There's some points that he made that hadn't been discussed before. So, for example, he said that those that are in the south and central at the moment that come from the north should be allowed to return to their homes. Another point that he made is that the United Nations, that they have managed, the US has managed to convince Israel to allow a United Nations delegation to go in and carry out assessments to allow those that are from the north to return to their homes. Of course, that will take a while. He didn't give a time frame on that, and that contradicts something that the Israelis had said a few days ago, saying that they wouldn't be allowing that just yet. So in terms of what we're hearing, in terms of what he was saying, for example, about this court case that will be taking place in a few days where South Africa has accused it of genocide, he called it baseless and meritless, and that it doesn't help in any way the situation. But of course, we do know that Israel is actually quite concerned about that, because that will have a knock-on effect. Even though it's not legally binding, if it's accused of that, it could potentially have a knock-on effect on decisions being made, for example, in the UN Security Council. Some of the other things that he discussed was the role of the Arab nations. We know that he'd been on a few visits and discussing the role of 4 Arab nations, also as well as Turkey, in terms of the rebuilding and reconstruction of Gaza once this war ends. And that's something he said that they are keen to have a role in, that some of them are keen to normalize relations, but they said that it has to be made clear to Israel that Palestinians should have the right to govern themselves. He, of course, didn't give any details as to what that means in terms of who would govern Gaza once this war is over.
It's time now to preview what's coming up on Morning Barbados. On this morning's show, it's quite packed. We'll be talking workplace, we'll be talking raceway, we'll be talking stage. All of it this morning on Morning Barbados. Yes, we have Hermab in the house. We will be looking at unmasking burnout in HR. What's that? I don't understand it. Maybe Nicholas will help you. Also, we're going to be having Tremaine Ford Catwell. He's a racing driver at Bushy Park, and he'll be telling us all about Journey with Tremaine. Yes, what's happening for racing in 2024. Also coming up on the show, we'll be talking drug education again with Verdun and Marina House. But we're also excited to welcome back home one of Barbados's onstage stars in Carlisle. Ian Carlisle, yes, singer-actor. He'll be with us this morning to tell us about what he's been up to. All this and more on Morning Barbados. More news, sports and weather after the break.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kia Lewis, general practitioner and healthy lifestyle advocate. Good nutrition starts at home. So this school year, I want you to consider packing healthy, nutritious snacks and lunches for your children to carry, rather than having them buy them at school. And don't just...
More children in Barbados will now have the opportunity to get their speech, hearing and vision tested. Prime Minister Mayor Amor Motley shared the news at the launch of the 3rd Annual Rotary Club of Barbados West Ellen Steinbock Hearing Screening Program. The Prime Minister, in addressing the launch, made it known that the work being done by the Steinbocks and Rotary West was key, as before many children were deprived of an education because their hearing impediment was not diagnosed early. Using her deaf aunt as an example, she says it's important to see the immediate transformation of people's circumstances.
I know for sure my aunt can read and write. And it struck me from as far back as then that, like your mother, how much more different, she was a twin, is a twin, how much more different her life would have been had she been given the opportunity to be able to be fully functional in today's world.
Ms. Motley says there must be a commitment to see people, hear people, and feel people. Testing was previously a must from the Ministry of Education.
We introduced a survey that allowed us to be able to take truly a test to see what was the status of children in this country. And the same estimates that I'm going through now, Ida May, you were there with me at the time, and the same estimates that I'm going through now, we argued and were successful in receiving support then and every year thereafter to support hearing, speech, and sight. That's why I laughed and I said Ben and I go way back, because Ben, you were among those people who helped us in those early years with that test.
She says the hearing difficulties in children were spotted back then, and diagnosis is key.
If we don't diagnose why people are not learning, we can't fix the problem, no different from a doctor. And we were therefore able to start a program that allowed us to become leaders in the Americas. Barbados became the first country in the Americas to test children at 3 and 5 for hearing and speech impediment, and we were never fully over the hurdle with sight, but we were a long way from where we were when we started and close to being able to be comprehensive. It has been one of the greatest regrets of my public life that that project was abandoned by this Ministry of Education along the way.
Prime Minister Motley then sat with specialist Dr. Ben Stabler to have her own hearing tested for a demonstration of the device which will be used to carry out the testing in the island schools. Once hearing problems are detected, the Rotary West program then provides the relevant device to correct the problem. As climate change remains a major talking point and priority for government, the National Housing Corporation is building homes with resilience in mind. CBC's Crystal Hoyt has more on that story.
I'm certain that the houses will be up to about Category 3 hurricane. They will withstand that type of wind.
That reassurance from National Housing Corporation's Special Project Manager, William Clark. He was speaking during a tour of one of the most recent rebuilds, with over 1,600 houses being impacted by Hurricane Elsa back in 2021. The NHC, in its relief program, is rebuilding and repairing homes with resilience in mind.
In fact, that's the key areas. We've looked at the roof structures and how they're composed, the eaves, the angle of the roof, hurricane straps are placed on all the roofs, and we've looked at what would initially stop a house from coming under severe attack in the event that another hurricane comes through. For example, we feel strongly that if there's a hurricane and the sheets are off, then we are keen to keeping that roof in place so that you can quickly replace the sheets and return to your homes. So that's one of the advantages we thought we use in the hurricane straps.
So far, 179 homes have been rebuilt and 493 roof and house repairs have been completed. Crystal Hoyt, CBC News.
A live broadcast by Ecuadorian television station TC was interrupted by armed people who forced staff to lie and sit on the floor as shots and yelling were heard. The incident came after at least 7 police officers were kidnapped. Explosions occurred in several cities, and prison inmates seized dozens of guards as hostages, a day after President Daniel Noboa declared a state of emergency.
A live broadcast at the TC channel was interrupted by people carrying guns and wearing hoods. Staff were forced to the floor before the live feed cut out. The attack comes a day after the president declared a 2-month-long state of emergency. That was in response to the escape of a gang leader from prison. Alessandro Rampietti has more.
This is José Adolfo Macías, better known as Fito, the leader of the powerful Los Choneros gang in Ecuador. He was serving a long sentence for murder, drug trafficking, and organized crime in this maximum security prison in the port city of Guayaquil. But on Sunday, when soldiers raided the center as part of a government crackdown, authorities said he was nowhere to be found. The government launched a major operation to recapture him, so far with no results.
In an operation involving more than 3,000 people, the prison has been raided in search of the most wanted prisoner, and the operation continues.
A notorious criminal suspected of having played a role in the assassination of presidential candidate Fernando Villavicencio last year, Fito has often defied authorities. He has escaped prison before and recently appeared in this music video, partly filmed inside the jail and sung by his daughter, glorifying his criminal exploits. Following Fito's escape, incidents have been reported in several prisons across the country. Inmates were seen standing on roofs as they held prison guards hostage inside, threatening them with knives.
Mr. President, please reconsider your decisions. Don't let yourself be driven by impulses and false expectations.
This is the first major prison crisis for the recently elected President Daniel Noboa, a Banana Empire heir with little political experience who took over in November, promising to reduce violence. On Monday, he announced a 2-month state of emergency.
What we are seeing in the country's prisons is the result of our decision to confront them. That is why the government has taken actions that will allow us to regain control of the prisons that have been lost in recent years.
But some analysts say the president's plan is failing.
It seems like they are facing the crisis repeating the same recipe of the previous government. It has been proven that declaring the state of emergency is not an efficient way to contain crime. Homicides keep growing in Ecuador, and there is a risk that we will remain the most violent country in Latin America in 2024.
In recent years, Ecuador has been living through an unprecedented security crisis fueled by drug trafficking and that authorities have failed to address. These latest developments seem to suggest more troubles ahead.
French President Emmanuel Macron has appointed Gabriel Attal as the country's new prime minister, making him the youngest and first openly gay official to hold the position. The 34-year-old education minister was named to the post on Tuesday and, according to recent opinion polls, is one of the country's most popular politicians.
One of the rising stars of French politics, Gabriel Attal is now France's youngest prime minister. The 34-year-old took over from Elizabeth Borne at a ceremony in Paris after being appointed by the French President Emmanuel Macron.
The youngest president in the history of the Republic has appointed the youngest prime minister in the history of the Republic. And in this, I see a sign of audacity and change, and also a symbol of confidence in youth.
Attal began his career with the Socialist Party, but joined Macron's centrist movement a year before Macron was elected in 2017. His career has accelerated under the president, from government spokesperson and budget minister to his recent post as education minister, in which he controversially banned abayas in schools. In appointing Gabriel Attal, President Macron will be hoping to revitalise his government and turn the page on what has been a very difficult and challenging year. From months of pension reform protests to divisions in the president's party over a new immigration law, Macron is clearly keen for a fresh start, but the change of prime minister doesn't change the fact that the president doesn't have a majority in the French parliament, and pushing ahead with his reform agenda won't get any easier.
The difficulty is that when you want to push through major reforms, you need a majority. I don't see how he's going to achieve this, so it's a cosmetic change for PR purposes.
In the Fifth Republic, and particularly under Emmanuel Macron, it's effectively the Élysée that decides everything, so it's a new actor in the same role.
Attal will now forge ahead with the president's reforms and oversee the Paris Olympic Games. He'll also need to rebuild trust with the public ahead of June's EU elections and stave off the rising threat from far-right parties. Opinion polls suggest that Attal is one of France's most popular politicians, but he'll be all too aware that in politics, things can change fast.
In sports, Barbadian professional boxer Kobe Abridi is singing praises on his 2023 season after finishing with a sterling record. CBC's Anne-Marie Burke spoke with the fighter ahead of his 2024 campaign.
15-1, that's 15 wins, 1 loss with 5 main knockouts and 1 no contest. That's the record Barbadian professional boxer Kobe Abridi ends 2023 with after making a switch to the Combat Team League in the USA. Boxing for the DC Destroyers in the featherweight division, he has made a name for himself and admits that in the past year, it has been his best so far.
I had a lot of highs of 2023 for sure. With me and my team, my coach, manager, Barry Hunter, we did a successful new thing of boxing, which you call Team Combat League, and we was pretty successful in that this year. And we hopefully looking to go forward to doing that next year for 2024.
He reflected on his most memorable fight.
The rematch between me and the guy from the New York team, which was his name was Sherbeck. He beat me the first time we did the Team Combat League. And me, my coach, team, we went back and made some adjustments for the Mega Brawl with the finals of the TCL Combat League. And I ended up beating him, and beating him twice. So that was the only person that kind of beat me, and I got that back, and we hoping to run it again.
Much of Kobe's success is pinned on the hard work he has put in at the gym. And manager Barry Hunter says this was a driving force behind his success, especially given a change in his style of fighting.
He had to learn a whole new way and a whole new style of fighting for the most part. And as far as Team Combat League is concerned, and the 2 losses that he was talking about against Sherbeck, which is a very accomplished amateur fighters from another country, we were, I won't say thrust into a new situation, but it was kind of sort of that way. We got there, we didn't know the rules, we didn't know the plans, the layouts, and nothing. And the original rules that we were supposed to be fighting under was very different when we started. So New York had an advantage over us because I believe they had like a 2-week head start. So they had actually been competing for 2 weeks. So we had to play catch up. So it was all new to us. And it was humbling at the same time because, you know, it let us know that day that other people out here training and fighting just as hard as we are. You know, your body can be, you know, right. Your body can be hard. Your body can be in shape. But if your mind, which controls that body, is not right, then we got a problem. And we have been, I think, separated, and Kobe can kind of correct me on this, between 2 and 3 years. And it had been a while since I've seen it. You know, after we, you know, got back together, we put the plan together, and we've been rolling along ever since. So I think now that he has not just the physical capability, his mind is strong now, and we're ready to go.
Kobe wants to maintain his current standard and knows he has to work hard to do so.
All I have to do is stay in the gym, stay focused, and stay ready for whatever. And that's always the goal, is to stay ready, because when the full ring to call me, I can't get ready. I got to be ready and say we got to go, and we got to go do greatness.
Beyond being an ambassador for Barbados in the sport, Kobe has one major desire for 2024, to step into the ring on home soil, and he's pushing to make that a reality.
I just want to thank God, thank my team, everybody for the opportunities for last year and the great opportunities coming on this year. And I definitely want to shout out all the Barbadian people that support me, that's waiting and actually waiting for me to come home to fight sometime next year at the gymnasium once the board is up. And I know that I have full support of the Barbados government, sports council, the Prime Minister Mia Motley to show up at the event to help support me and my team as we try to bring professional boxing back to Barbados and make great history.
So from a successful 2023 into 2024, we wish professional boxer Kobe Abridi all the best as he continues to make waves on the international scene.
Well, it's time now to have a look at the weather picture. The barometric pressure 1014.4 millibars, the temperature 25.7 degrees Celsius, humidity stands at 80%, and the wind direction from the east at 32 kilometers per hour. It's presently partly cloudy with slight haze. The seas are moderate in open water with swells ranging from 1.5 to 2.5 meters and increasing. Small craft operators and sea bathers should exercise caution. Look at the tides. The first high tide was at 3:33 a.m. The second will be at 2:35 p.m. The first low tide will be at 8:26 a.m. and the second at 9:36 p.m. In Barbados today, there will be a mix of sunshine and clouds with a few brief scattered light showers. Tonight is expected to be a mix of clear skies and clouds with a few brief scattered light showers. That's today's morning report. Our next newscast is Newsday at 12 on TV8, followed by The World at 1 via our radio network of stations. It's time now for Morning Barbados.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning, Barbados, good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, 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 morning.
I trust that you are up, ready, and rearing to face today. We're already at the middle of the week, so I know a lot of you are happy about that part. But it's going to be a wonderful Wednesday today because we're going to have some great things to talk about on the show. We're going to get to see all of the promising Barbadians who are abroad performing and flying that Bajan flag so proudly. We're also going to talk to some here at home about some work they've been doing in the name of charity and on the raceway. So we'll get to talk to them. But we're going to be talking HR first. Yes, we're going to be looking at burnout. What is it? How do you detect it? How do you create that work-life balance? And especially for some who's maybe in areas that aren't so traditional in terms of job, where you can work shifts of 12 hours or more as a given, as part of the job. So how do you then avoid that burnout? So I'm going to be having Nicholas Roberts, the president of HERMAP this morning, but he's also going to be joined by Julie Turney, a career guidance advisor. So we are looking at unmasking burnout in HR, the signs, solution, and how do we find the support. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Yes. Now, let's start in terms of how we unmask it, because by first finding out what really is burnout, what are some of the things that we have to look for to know that within the work environment we actually are suffering from burnout. And I'll start with the ladies first. Julie?
Yes, thank you so much, Wendy. Good morning, Barbados. So when we think about burnout, we're actually talking about something that happens to our bodies as a result of extended stress over a long period of time. So burnout is something that happens gradually to the body. So when we think about the signs and the symptoms, there are things that are happening to us continuously over time. So thinking about having a low excitement for the work that you do, you could have insomnia, feel angry all the time. You could be just feeling very disillusioned about your job. You could be snapping at your coworkers when you know that's something that you generally wouldn't do. Because when we think about the human resource profession, we're thinking about people who are there for the people. But sometimes because of the extended stress, it can get very frustrating. And that compiled with also feeling very emotionally fatigued for holding space for employees in the workplace. And then any trauma that comes along the way also can impact those challenges that we feel burned out eventually.
So how can we detect it early out the box, Julie, to ensure that we don't make it halfway down the road and then realize, oh my, this is what I'm suffering with?
That's a good question, Wendy. I think it's really important for us to recognize it as human beings, and those of us in the HR profession, it really is important for us to know ourselves and understand who we are as professionals in the workplace and how we show up and how we hold space for employees in the workplace. And the moment we start to notice certain changes or shifts in our general mood, how we know our disposition is generally, then we want to start questioning, what's going on here? When we start to recognize that our sleep patterns are being highly impacted, when we recognize our joy for the things that we normally would like to do, exercise, read, learn, these things can start to be early signs of recognizing burnout. As I said, in addition to that, if you're starting to feel anxious, frustrated, if you're starting to feel like people at work are attacking you when normally that's not generally what the case would be, if you're looking at things a bit more, if your senses are a bit more heightened and you're looking at things from a bit more of a scared perspective, then you could possibly be beginning the signs of burnout. So you want to make sure you understand yourself. What's your normal disposition and how do you change from that?
Now, let's get to Nicholas. Let's pull him in here on the conversation. Now, what HR people are always advising us about what to do, but what now about advising those HR professionals about the management of stress and their workloads while maintaining the balance?
Yeah, so good morning again, Wendy. I think this is a very important topic in terms of looking at burnout when it comes to HR professionals. Julie mentioned in terms of HR professionals are usually there to assist the persons within the organizations. And I think through taking up that space and through advising others and helping them with their problems and helping leaders with their people issues, sometimes people forget that HR practitioners are persons themselves. So the same way that you would advise any employee within an organization to take care of their well-being, the same thing would apply for an HR practitioner. So in terms of setting boundaries, in terms of making sure that you look at your mental health and you make sure that you're doing things that feed into you so that you can feed into others is also very important, because you can't come into the workspace and you can't operate at your optimum if it is that you are not able to do your job to the best of its ability. So I would say the same advice that an HR practitioner would give to an employee or a business leader within an organization would be the same advice that they should give to themselves. First of all, take care of your mental health. Secondly, your physical health, and then look and see how it is that you can guide and shape the organization, because you need to be at your best self in order to do so.
Now, you're saying this, let me play devil's advocate here, because somebody would say, but that's the HR role, to listen to what is going wrong for us as employees. So in terms of the workspace now, are there specific challenges that are innate to the job which help to contribute to this burnout over the course of time?
Yes. So one of the biggest challenges HR practitioners face is that they go into spaces that they don't feel supported or feel seen. So if I personally can attribute to one of the hardest things being an HR practitioner is working in an environment where you feel as if you don't have the support from your business leaders, or you don't have the support of the employees that you're supporting. So say for instance, it's a case that you go into a space and you are fighting for the employees and you're fighting for the organization, but you're being once again torn between the two. Also, like I said, you don't have the support from your business leader. That can be the biggest problem, because imagine going into an organization, advocating for the rights of the employee, advocating for the rights of the organization, but then the leader that you support, whether it be the CEO, the chief people officer, the CEO, whoever you support within that C-suite, at that C-suite level, does not see the value of your position, whether you're an HR director, HR manager, whatever your position is. That can be the toughest thing. And then when you have employees then who feel as if you are there to, as we mentioned last week, to be the police, that you're there to police them, or you're there to be the person that is bringing the hammer down on them, when sometimes you are just the messenger and you're the conduit for a message that the organization wants to push to the general staff. So it's things like those that make HR practitioners feel as if they are not being seen and heard, because they feel as if they're being pulled in two different directions, one, and then two, by extension, sometimes they feel as if they don't have the support from anyone within the organization, and that can make it difficult for anyone, any human being, to go into a workspace when they feel as if that they are persona non grata, that they're going into a workspace where people don't have their best interests at heart, even though they ironically are the ones that are there to have the best interests at heart of other persons.
Okay. Now, if I can pull Julie in here, and Nicholas is talking about having who will have your interests at heart. But I'm wondering if, in terms of the specialized training, etc., which you all would have gone through, if that should not necessarily be enough to get you through avoiding the burnout, or in helping you manage the burnout, one, and two, is there mentoring to the HR professional in the process?
Very good question, Wendy. And I just wanted to add one thing to what Nicholas had mentioned, which is that a lot of times there is a misalignment in the business with what HR really does and what the business wants HR to do. There are, if you think about the functions of HR, like let's say there are 12 core functions of HR. We hire people, we plan or do design of the organization, we manage performance, we manage learning and development, we manage career development, we manage rewards, recognitions, industrial relations, we deal with health and safety, personal well-being. If you are an HR practitioner of one in an organization with 50 to 500 to 5,000 people, it is virtually impossible to cover all of those functions as one HR professional. And a lot of times when we ask for additional support, the answer always comes back from the business: no, we don't have the budget to support that. You can manage all of these things, because they think that HR is just hiring and firing and whatever they tell us to do, when HR is so much more than that. And then in addition to that, so if you have low resources, you're one HR professional managing all of those functions that I mentioned for an organization, and you don't have HR tech to help you or support you in managing the people process or the people journey throughout the entire organization, and all you're restricted to is no budget. A lot of times HR professionals don't have budgets. We're asked to magic things out of the air for the people experience. There is a lack of respect in general for the HR profession. And when you put people in an HR role who are not equipped to manage HR, you say, our organization needs an HR professional. You take your receptionist, you take someone from marketing, you take someone from finance, or you take someone from legal, and you put them in an HR role they were never trained for. Then you're going to have people who are not understand how to navigate the people experience. They have no form of training, they have no form of guidance, and they're not tapping into the right spaces in order to get the support that they need. So you have a lot of HR professionals who are flying by the seat because they don't know where to go to get the guidance or the support, because HR wasn't where they wanted to be.
Okay.
And so when you have that, you're going to have a complete misalignment in the business. Yes, there are avenues for mentorship. You have HERMAB. You have lots of HR professionals throughout the island who are open to supporting, happy to engage and support HR professionals who want to be in the profession. But when you have this complete misalignment and disrespect, where you have this lack of understanding for what HR really does, and when you are not giving us the budget and the resources and the tools to do the job effectively, you're going to have burned out, frustrated HR professionals.
The thing is now, when like you were saying, when you're the only one and then you're gone, that then creates burnout for some of the others, because then who do we go to deal with our sickness issues? Who do we go to deal with the environmental issues on the plant? Who do we go to sign off on our vacation or maternity leave or whatever leave it might be? Who do we go to for those job letters when there are things that we need to get done in a hurry, type of thing? So as you did say and point out, a lot of the functions aren't understood, and there's a misalignment. Now, what can HERMAB do in terms of ensuring that we realign, Nicholas? Because that's what's going to be important to get away from the burnout, ensuring that people know where everything is supposed to fit.
So the purpose of HERMAB at its core is to create community for HR practitioners. Community to, as Julie would have so already said, give people the space and the chance to have someone to pour into them. As a young professional coming into the HR profession about 10 or so years ago, it was crucial that I had persons that had my best interests at heart. And that is the purpose of HERMAB. So you're supposed to have a community that you can tap into to ask questions, because there are persons within the HR field that may specialize in a field that you may not have experience in, or who may have more experience in that area than you do. You will not be the know-it-all of everything, and there will be someone who will have more years of experience, or not only professional experience, life experience, who will be able to guide you, mentor you, give you advice in terms of what it is that you need to do, the tools to get the job done. So that is what HERMAB is seeking to do and has sought to do over the last 20 or so years, in terms of being that association and that guide for its practitioners and for its membership.
Okay, I want to thank you so much, Nicholas Roberts and Julie Turney, for joining me this morning to talk about that burnout. Let's try to avoid it. Let's pace ourselves in the workspace, and whilst being there for others, remember, HR practitioners, you also have to be there for yourself. So thanks once again for joining us here this morning on Morning Barbados. Morning Barbados will be back after the break.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
So good in a party yet. You know why?
My friend, you don't plan to get her. Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And Morning Barbados is back. Yes, we are going to be zooming along now because we are heading for a raceway. Well, rather, some drivers. We're going to be talking to Tremaine Ford Catwell and his dad, Gregory Cheese Catwell. And we are on a journey with Tremaine because this is a young man who is very talented on the raceway, but he also has a big heart and he looks to do things and give back to individuals along the way. Now, he was born in 1999, so we have a youngster with us, but nonetheless, he has always shown this love for cars. How early do you remember, Tremaine, actually wanting to motor along and get speedy? From what age do you remember?
From the time I could move, I would be brushing my teeth. My mother, my father, they would be keeping noise, sounding like a car while brushing my teeth. At that time, I could barely move along. I running, keeping noise, sounding like a car. I would be spinning around, pretending to be doing donuts. So as far as I can recall, I like the speed.
He always likes the speed. Now, before you started behind the wheel of the car, you were great on two wheels, and you used to cycle, and you also brought some reward for your country. Tell me a bit about those days.
Okay, I think my first trip was over to Trinidad to represent Barbados at the age of 5. Riding BMX, and I brought back 6 gold medals for Barbados. Then follow on by the next year.
Okay.
It was a little challenging at first. There's a lot of hard work. That's the part I don't want to say didn't like it, but I wasn't expecting it to be like that.
To be that tough.
Correct.
And I'm sure Dad gave support.
Yes, he's who actually got me into it. How it all started, I did a fun ride, but I saw the guys doing stunts, and when he come home, he asked me if I want to do that. So that's what I thought I was doing. I said yes, and then a week later he got a bicycle for me, but then we actually did the more professional racing instead of the stunting. I think I ended up preferring that way.
The professional way.
Correct.
Nice, nice. Now, by 8 now, it was time to move away from that bicycle and start to get close to the car, and you started with the whole karting business.
Yeah, at that age I was then managing both actually. So I was still doing the bicycle, but now started to incorporate the go-karting. I started off in the 270 group, which was a little advanced because they wanted me to start in 230, but Dad said I'm good enough to start there, and another guy vouched for me that I was good enough. I was the rookie of that year, and I think it was 2nd overall in the group.
Wow. So he has always been pushing Dad, and you have always been pushing him. So where did he get this love for racing from?
I did some racing in my time, and I guess as a little youngster coming up, my father always wanted someone to hold the light, and I would have to hold the light. So then eventually sticking around mechanics, then that's what I learned. So then, yeah, I wasn't as good as some people, but then it's like then I was able to help somebody to get as good as me or better than me.
Exactly, and you're proud of him, I'm sure.
100%, yeah.
Okay then. Now we get to age 10, you continue winning more with your BMX and so on, but by 13 now, you transition to drag racing.
Correct. That was my first event in the car. It was my father's car at that time.
You remember what model car it was?
A 1200 Datsun Toyota 20 valve turbocharged.
Aye, okay then.
So it wasn't a slow car to start with. And I competed in the Tiny Harrison Memorial event. I won my class, 8.5 to 9 seconds. And I got going from there. And later that year, I then went on to doing the international at Bushy Park.
Okay. Now that was Tremaine there speeding off. Now you have now been crowned 2023 Motoring Club champion, and you're the youngest person ever to win it. How did that feel for you?
Well, for me, that was a great accomplishment. For me, for the team, for everyone.
And tell them what the team's name is.
Cheese Racing Crew.
Okay then.
Yeah, it was a very great accomplishment. From the beginning of the year, we said we want to win a championship. We wasn't sure exactly which one. We was fighting for more than one, but it's a great accomplishment for everyone.
Okay, walk me through the day a little bit in terms of when you started that leg of racing.
I wanted to do that from quite young, before I even had license 14, but my dad wouldn't allow it. He said, you're not ready, you're not ready. But even when I got to 16, I wanted to still say you're not ready. But just give me a shot one day, and I think I represented and opened his eyes. I showed him I was ready all along. You just
all
wasn't
along.
ready.
He just wanted to hold you back.
Correct. And from there, it's just out the gates running.
Okay. Now, when you are behind the wheel of the car, you seem to be a different person to who you are normally.
Totally. To explain myself, I'm not even sure, being honest. I be here in body, but everything from my inside just got switched off. It's just my hands move, my eyes, and my feet. It ain't no thinking, it's just operating.
Okay.
So, just operating. Sometimes when I do things and I finish the stage, I'd be like, yo, I just did that. I'd be like, whoa, that wasn't me, that have to be the Lord.
Understood. Now, generally, you are a very quiet, keep to yourself kind of guy. But then, what is it about racing that runs through your veins and charges you differently? What is it?
I guess the ability to feel free. Like, you don't study anything, nothing bothers you at that time. It just gives you a feeling that you can't keep away from. You see how people do drugs and alcohol? Well, I guess that is my drugs and alcohol. It makes you feel free. You don't have to worry. It's just
it's a freedom.
I can't even explain the feeling. Like, you have to feel it to understand it.
Now, you also help to do something else with cars. I understand you're being touted as one of the best painters around.
Well, I wouldn't say that about myself, but I will left that for
others to say.
Correct.
Okay.
But yes, I do painting of cars, auto body.
And you're into all of these fancy techniques, and you like all the flakes and create all these change of colors and that type of thing.
If you bring that to me and that's what you want, I can give it to you. Personally, myself, I more prefer cool.
Okay.
So yes, I will do pretty, but not over the top.
All right. So tell the people quickly about well, we wanted to talk about Bushy Park. January 20th, folks, you have to go out. Tell me about it, Dad.
Well, it's just a little give back to as well and fundraising, because like there are some people too that I guess once you're over a child age, which is I guess 16, you have a disability, you can't get out there to come and watch racing, or obviously to get in the racing car. Well, yeah, you got the opportunity from 1 to 3 o'clock to come, and you can go around with Tremaine. And yeah, even if you're an old lady or old gentleman that like racing and haven't got out for a while, that want to see what speed feel like again, then you could come and go out with Tremaine.
Well, I am not either of the two, but I love those speeds. So I guess I can come to Bushy Park on the 20th as well.
That's correct.
Right, folks. January 20th, they will be at Bushy Park. Tremaine is going to be giving back, and he wants to give back to those who normally would not get an opportunity to do this. So Dad, we are happy that we will be journeying with Tremaine for that event. I wish you well. Try not to scare them too much with the speed.
I'll try. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Morning Barbados will be back after the break, but we'll have some news before.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
My friend, you don't plan to get it. Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it, Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
I'm Anne St. John, a consultant pediatrician. When packing healthy lunch boxes, do include a fruit, which includes a banana, apple, orange, or grapes to supply fiber. Aim for low-calorie packaged snacks without the mention of flour or sugar amongst the four ingredients on the back label. 1 in 3 children in Barbados is affected by overweight or obesity. Let us...
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning, and this is your morning news recap. 2 young men are to face the law courts after they were charged in connection with murder of a missing man after his body was found in a well at Exchange Hill near Bibby's Lane, St. Michael. Mitchell Nichols, who was the recent subject of a missing person bulletin, was last seen by his mother on December 23, 2023. The bulletin was issued on December 29th and the body was found hours after. The 2 charged have been identified as 20-year-old Victor Martin Hoyt of Exchange Hill, St. Michael, and Devere Elon Tony Gittins, 26 years, of 2nd Avenue, Bibby's Lane, St. Michael. The duo was charged with the offences of murder of Mitchell Nichols between the 23rd and 25th of December 2023 and arson of a motor car belonging to Nichols Bakery Incorporated on December 24th. Hoyt and Gittins are scheduled to appear before Chief Magistrate Ian Weeks in the District A Magistrates Court today. Expansion for the Rotary Club of Barbados West Ellen Steinbach hearing program as the Ministry of Education opens it up to another level of students. Education Minister Kay McConney expressed gratitude at the launch and outlined the other age groups as well as other key areas which testing will be done in.
We are grateful again, evening of thanks, for the expansion that they have given in the program this year that goes beyond infants being now to include also our class 4s. And I share that in the context too of a meeting we had this morning with the doctors and the senior minister and the Minister of State and of course this entire Ministry of Education. We met this morning and one of the areas we discussed was the diagnostic testing, which is part of the proposals for education transformation, that we extend the testing not only to auditory, that we would also do the sight as well as speech. And this morning's meeting revealed to us the doctors, including the Pediatrics Association, they came in as an association that wanted to give us advice as to what are the correct ages at which we should be doing this testing, the frequency, as well as what additional resources will be required at this stage.
The meetings yielded that the ministry has to find a pathway to help those whose parents did not carry them for this type of checkup.
Those parents who were health seeking, whose children were diagnosed for auditory challenges, that those are actually treated in a significant way. They therefore said to us that this program that we have, especially doing that intervention at Infants B, is good because it provides a catch for those students that did not go through the growth and development aspect. So I want to say thank you for that. We also noticed, even as we screened over the last several years, that the number of those parents, even though there's access, it is not mandatory by government. And so some of those students who did not get tested at Infants B, we now give them the opportunity to be tested at class 4 level. For a number of reasons. Some parents had transportation issues, some parents had all kinds of different issues, and therefore to do it at these 2 levels have certainly been sanctioned by our Ministry of Health and Wellness and our Pediatrics Association. In addition, as I said, this diagnostic testing is not just about the auditory, even though we celebrate our partners today who will continue as part of the Ellen Steinbach hearing screening program to continue to work with us. But we know as part of education transformation, there is also the sight testing. We have continued significant work in that regard, and we will be continuing again. In fact, I believe in another week or 2, we should then be continuing the testing for sight. What the Pediatrics Association as well as the Ministry of Health and Wellness have said to us, there are 2 stages at which we ought to be doing the sight. at the 3 to 5 and at the 10 to 12. And therefore, it is with that we will be making the proposals that when we do move to full diagnostic testing across all schools, that we take the advice of our Ministry of Health and our Pediatrics Association.
President of Rotary West, Gail Reeves, looked back at the project, which began in the schools with island-wide screening of infants B students and the numbers they were able to capture.
With parental permission, we screened 1,914 students. Of the 84 children referred for follow-up, 8 children received services for impacted wax removal. Two children were treated for middle ear infections, and 4 infants B children with permanent hearing loss were identified and fitted with hearing aids. Last school year, 2022-23, of the 1,657 infants B students screened, 183 were referred for follow-up. Of those children who have been evaluated to date, and I should include that the evaluation of those students is still ongoing, but those students who have been evaluated to date by the Barbados Speech and Hearing Center, it was found that 7 children required wax removal. 3 children were treated for middle ear infections, and another 4 children with permanent hearing loss have once again been identified.
As climate change remains a major talking point and priority for government, the National Housing Corporation is building homes with resilience in mind. CBC's Crystal Hoyt has more on that story.
I'm certain that the houses will be up to about Category 3 hurricane. They will withstand that type of wind.
That reassurance from National Housing Corporation's Special Project Manager William Clark. He was speaking during a tour of one of the most recent rebuilds, with over 1,600 houses being impacted by Hurricane Elsa back in 2021. The NHC, in its relief program, is rebuilding and repairing homes with resilience in mind.
In fact, that's one of the key areas. We've looked at the roof structures and how they're composed, the eaves, the angle of the roof. Hurricane straps are placed on all the roofs. And we've looked at what would initially stop a house from coming under severe attack in the event that another hurricane comes through. For example, we feel strongly that if there's a hurricane and the sheets are off, then we are keen to keeping that roof in place so that you can quickly replace the sheets and return to your homes. So that's one of the advantages we thought we use in the hurricane straps.
So far, 179 homes have been rebuilt and 493 roof and house repairs have been completed. Crystal Hoyt, CBC News.
A live broadcast by Ecuadorian television station TC was interrupted by armed people who forced staff to lie and sit on the floor as shots and yelling were heard. The incident came after at least 7 police officers were kidnapped. Explosions occurred in several cities, and prison inmates seized dozens of guards as hostages a day after President Daniel Noboa declared a state of emergency.
A live broadcast at the TC channel was interrupted by people carrying guns and wearing hoods. Staff were forced to the floor before the live feed cut out. The attack comes a day after the president declared a 2-month-long state of emergency. That was in response to the escape of a gang leader from prison. Alessandro Rampietti has more.
This is José Adolfo Macías, better known as Fito, the leader of the powerful Los Choneros gang in Ecuador. He was serving a long sentence for murder, drug trafficking, and organized crime in this maximum security prison in the port city of Guayaquil. But on Sunday, when soldiers raided the center as part of a government crackdown, authorities said he was nowhere to be found. The government launched a major operation to recapture him, so far with no results.
In an operation involving more than 3,000 people, the prison has been raided in search of the most wanted prisoner, and the operation continues.
A notorious criminal suspected of having played a role in the assassination of presidential candidate Fernando Villavicencio last year, Fito has often defied authorities. He has escaped prison before and recently appeared in this music video, partly filmed inside the jail and sung by his daughter, glorifying his criminal exploits. Following Fito's escape, incidents have been reported in several prisons across the country. Inmates were seen standing on roofs as they held prison guards hostage inside, threatening them with knives.
Mr. President, please reconsider your decisions. Don't let yourself be driven by impulses and false expectations.
This is the first major prison crisis for the recently elected President Daniel Noboa, a Banana Empire heir with little political experience who took over in November, promising to reduce violence. On Monday, he announced a 2-month state of emergency.
What we are seeing in the country's prisons is the result of our decision to confront them. That is why the government has taken actions that will allow us to regain control of the prisons that have been lost in recent years.
But some analysts say the president's plan is failing.
It seems like they are facing the crisis repeating the same recipe of the previous government. It has been proven that declaring the state of emergency is not an efficient way to contain crime. Homicides keep growing in Ecuador, and there is a risk that we will remain the most violent country in Latin America in 2024.
In recent years, Ecuador has been living through an unprecedented security crisis fueled by drug trafficking and that authorities have failed to address. These latest developments seem to suggest more troubles ahead.
French President Emmanuel Macron has appointed Gabriel Attal as the country's new prime minister, making him the youngest and first openly gay official to hold the position. The 34-year-old education minister was named to the post on Tuesday and, according to recent opinion polls, is one of the country's most popular politicians.
One of the rising stars of French politics, Gabriel Attal is now France's youngest prime minister. The 34-year-old took over from Elizabeth Borne at a ceremony in Paris after being appointed by the French President Emmanuel Macron.
The youngest president in the history of the Republic has appointed the youngest prime minister in the history of the Republic. And in this, I see a sign of audacity and change, and also a symbol of confidence in youth.
Attal began his career with the Socialist Party, but joined Macron's centrist movement a year before Macron was elected in 2017. His career has accelerated under the president, from government spokesperson and budget minister to his recent post as education minister, in which he controversially banned abayas in schools. In appointing Gabriel Attal, President Macron will be hoping to revitalise his government and turn the page on what has been a very difficult and challenging year. From months of pension reform protests to divisions in the president's party over a new immigration law, Macron is clearly keen for a fresh start, but the change of prime minister doesn't change the fact that the president doesn't have a majority in the French parliament, and pushing ahead with his reform agenda won't get any easier.
The difficulty is that when you want to push through major reforms, you need a majority. I don't see how he's going to achieve this, so it's a cosmetic change for PR purposes.
In the Fifth Republic, and particularly under Emmanuel Macron, it's effectively the Élysée that decides everything, so it's a new actor in the same role.
Attal will now forge ahead with the president's reforms and oversee the Paris Olympic Games. He'll also need to rebuild trust with the public ahead of June's EU elections and stave off the rising threat from far-right parties. Opinion polls suggest that Attal is one of France's most popular politicians, but he'll be all too aware that in politics, things can change fast.
That's your morning news recap. More Morning Barbados after the break.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
For the past 19 years, QFM has been sharing with you, learning from you, and together building a community for all mature audiences. That's why we say Q is good for you. To our Q family, we say thank you for staying connected to Q 100.7 FM. QFM is a station of the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation. CBC, celebrating 60, connecting Barbadian communities.
Are you a youth group, 4-H club, school, Cub Scout or Brownie Pack, or any organization or club with children ages 4 to 11 years? If yes is the answer, then we at Fun School, we're looking for you. Let's have fun singing, dancing, listening to amazing stories, doing craft, and so much more. I'm such a kid at heart, but to be part of
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Month. We have the National Council on Substance Abuse who have been part of it, but there are also a number of other players who play some key roles in this whole prevention of substance abuse. And one of those players, the Verdun and Marina House. And we have with us this morning Nicolette Williams, who's a counselor there, as well as Alison Gotip, the clinical director. Good morning and welcome to you both. Yes. Now, we're going to be looking at the programs which Verdun and Marina House provide. And I guess people are asking why the two. Well, Verdun House is for the males, Marina House for the females. I'll go firstly to you, Alison, and looking at what are some of the programs provided by the two areas in terms of drug prevention. And I guess we can call them halfway houses. Is that still safe to refer to them as?
Not quite. Well, thanks for the invitation, but let me just clarify. Yeah, Verdun and Marina Run program. Verdun is better, is known better because we've been open for 23 years. That's our residential services for men who are battling the disease of addiction and mental health challenges. Marina House, which is situated about a 10 minutes drive, still in John, is for the females and also residential. However, due to the need of the population further afield, we have diversified our treatment services, including outpatients, wellness clinic, and most importantly, especially under the theme of Drug Awareness Month, which is Strength and Prevention, is our Teen and Confident, which Nicolette heads. That is for our young persons. And the reason that came about was because research that we've done and seeing persons come into treatment, the statistics are low in terms of persons, the age of persons who are exposed to drugs and also adverse childhood experiences. So we start a program which is normally a 6-week program where we offer counseling, we run camps, and it really is for young persons who may be going through things and struggling. And we know that what the media has seen over the last month and, unfortunately, personal lives, etc.
Okay. Now, if I can go to Nicolette, who's one of the counselors with Verdun House. Tell me a bit about the programming now and how you have been able to assist those with substance addictions.
Good morning. Well, as Allison said, I am the coordinator for the Teen Intervene. And as we realize that a lot of the substance use starts from a very young age because children mirror or follow the parents that are in actual active addiction. And even though Verdun and Marina House cater to adults, we realize that we have to look at the younger generation, which are the children or the teenagers. So the programming for Teen Intervene Confident Me, we focus on emotional regulation, we focus on anger management, we focus on the entire well-being, mental health and physical health of the teens and the adolescents. And we also cater for individual, family, and group therapy sessions. Since 2022, we have actually gone into 5 to 6 schools, secondary schools. And this year we're catering for 2 to 4 schools in 2024. Within the theme of strengthening prevention this month for Drug Awareness Month, we have 2 open days, one cater for the primary schools and one cater for the secondary schools this month in January.
Okay, if I can go back to you now, Alison, in terms of the in-residence programs at both Verdun, and Marina. What, in terms of the stay at either of the institutions, can we speak to the issue of a success rate, or can we just speak to the issue of ensuring that individuals are properly rehabilitated into our society?
Yeah, sure. Our resume, both at Verdun and Marina, is on average 90 days. But we do run an individualized program, which means that depending on how the person is and their needs, shorter or extend that stay. When we speak about success rate, Wendy, as you can appreciate, it's so difficult to monitor, especially when you're talking about human behavior. We do have our own research institute, and we monitor the quality of life. So when that person leaves, we don't leave them. We have our continuing care program. Research shows that you need to keep in contact with persons at least 5 years after they've left the residential program. So when we speak about quality of life, we look at things in terms of their interaction with their families, job security, job placement, the skills that they've got, have been able to, stabilize themselves in terms of their mental health, if they're being medication compliant for those who need it, and therefore quality of Verdun and Marina, is fairly high for those persons who do leave. The very disease of addiction means that it can be very cyclical sometimes by its very nature. However, it is key to understand that Verdun has been in operation for years, and we have seen some phenomenal clients and their lives. Some that we're going to see in our month of activities, some who would actually be performing at our Calypso and Jazz concert, which is on the 27th. We have some persons who have gone through the program, two well-known artists, both in Barbados and in the region, also performing their story. So seeing is believing. And if you think it doesn't work, come out on the 27th at the Frank Collymore Hall.
Now, I want to go back to the issue of job placement. Now, a number of these individuals would have had jobs before the whole substance abuse began, because they were using the money to feed those particular habits. Do you find that for some of them, it is difficult for them to go back into the space they were in professionally before, because of some of the things which may have been done along the way, situations created, etc.?
Great question. What we do is to really work close with the employers, and that's why Drug Awareness Month is so important, because we have to sensitize those persons who do have jobs and to almost look for the red flags. It's really important from a human resource perspective to understand that addiction is no respecter of persons. So gone are the days where you can think that an addict is someone who is in a particular neighborhood looking through garbage. These are persons who are having jobs, who do have very high skill sets. What we do for those persons who come in with, who do lose their job in the process, is whilst they're in treatment, actually look to see if we can re-engage their employer, or maybe look for them to be employed in a different field. I always say to the staff, and one of our mantras at Verdun and Marina House is that we need success. We ourselves employ persons in recovery, so we can't ask employers to do something that we are not willing to do. So we do have staff members who we employ on the compounds of Verdun and Marina to show that it can work once you're sensitized to the issues with addiction, and recovery is possible.
Okay. Now, if I can go back to you, Nicolette, in terms of dealing with the youngsters, in terms of these counseling services, how much input, leeway do you give to the families of those youngsters in being part of this recovery process?
What we do is that we actually we work with both families and children together. We do give them the information, abiding with the confidentiality that comes between the parent and the child, knowing that the child is underage. We also share the relevant information to the family or the parent or the guardians of how the child presents and what they're sharing. We do actually join both family and children in the sessions together, depending on the severity of the matter due to their substance use, as well as we cater to the entire well-being of that family household. As I said earlier, we have parenting workshops, we have family workshops, because we realize that it's not just about the adolescent or the teenager, it's actually about the entire household and how they actually function day to day, with understanding and reducing substance use, finding preventative measures for it in the household, how you communicate in a healthy way, how you support that individual, both parent and child, when they're struggling with the substance use. And then from the household, they bring it into the session so that we can help them manage and support them with what they're experiencing.
Okay. Alison, if I can go back to you now, be talking about strengthening prevention. What other things does Verdun and Marina need at this stage to be able to strengthen the programming which you already do have in place?
Okay, I think there needs to be a real awareness in the region and Barbados in terms of understanding that we do not have to wait a child, for example, has committed a crime or, is further down the road. It's really important for us to do early intervention. And that early intervention may just be parents reaching out to us. We do have a hotline reaching out to us if they just have some concerns. We focus a lot on at-risk youth, but sometimes we could have done something earlier. And when I say we, I mean the community. So really persons reaching out, even if it's for, as Nicolette said, for parenting skills. I know Barbados does an excellent work, but it really is about raising that awareness. In terms of strengthening prevention, Nicolette would have spoken about the Intervene Confident Me camps. We really do take these young persons close to heart and ensure that it's not just a 2-day camp or a 3-day camp, but it's a continuum of care. That continuum of care obviously comes at a price. So if persons really do have a heart and want to continue a legacy and really shed light on mental health, addiction, and young persons, then they can feel free to also donate to Verdun and Marina, who are a registered charity. But I believe it's awareness and it's action. That action may be volunteering, that action may be donating. By any means necessary, we do need to stem the tide in terms of what's happening to our young persons, and it's key.
Okay. Now, we're talking about stemming the tide, but what about the stigma which some of the individuals who would have passed through Verdun and Marina would have encountered? Do you still find this is too big an issue, or are we getting over it and realizing that just about anyone could become a substance abuser at any point in time, depending on what the trigger is?
Right. One good thing that came out of COVID-19 was when we started to normalize mental health and mental care, and looking at wellness and what we do to cope, and understanding that different persons' coping mechanisms. And really and truly, the stigma will always be there once we have a particular set of mindset. Addiction has no face, right? We really need to understand that it is a battle that we are all facing. Every person knows somebody, has a neighbor, a family member, etc., who they might be a bit concerned about. So we are going in the right direction in terms of normalizing the fact that persons need help, and understanding the fact that it is normal to go through certain issues, to go through certain challenges. What we're trying to do is to look at our coping mechanisms, let them be healthy, let them be well, instead of just bringing judgment. So there is always going to be that stigma, but I do believe it's definitely reducing here in Barbados.
Okay, we are happy to hear that it's going down. Now, for you, Nicolette, how busy is this month going to be in terms of getting around to all of those various schools and imparting the message? And what modalities are you using to assist children with understanding it? I know children are big on gaming, they're big on cartoons, they're big on anime, those types of things. Are you incorporating that stuff in sending them the message?
You are on track, Wendy. Yes, I am. I am actually, apart from a counselor, I'm a creative arts psychotherapist. So I use the creative modalities, dance, drama, play, art, music, sound therapy, and other creative modalities to help young people and persons express themselves and to get across a message. So in the schools, I actually will be very busy. I start in the schools this week coming, and I will be exploring the theme strengthening prevention using the creative modalities. What we've realized as young persons, a lot of young people shy away or are very resistant to talk therapy. So my field of work, being very nonverbal, it does help children understand the message in a creative way, and it helps them to engage, become more interactive, and have a better understanding about substance use, about mental health, about coping, about communication, and about themselves, so that they can be a better individual in Barbados and the wider world. So yes.
Okay, so I'm happy to hear that creativity is a part of it, because we all don't like to talk about it, but at least if we can act it out and we have an outlet, that's even better. Nicolette Williams, a counselor there, and Alison Gotip, the clinical director at Verdun and Marina House. I want you both to keep up the good work you've been doing. Barbados needs it. I also wish you well at your event coming up. Let's hope that Barbados turns out and we see that, you know, everyone is capable of reforming, of becoming a better self once given the right tools with which to act. So thank you, ladies, for joining me this morning as we look to strengthen prevention in this Drug Awareness Month.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, Morning Barbados will be back after the break, and when we come back, we will be talking to a Barbadian who is entertaining us on stages that you would not imagine. Morning Barbados will be back after the break.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affairs segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel the world.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
That was a performance by Ian Carlisle, singer-actor, my guest this morning. Yes, he's a Bajan, but he has been on the stage overseas so long now, maybe some may have forgotten. He has not. That was him there doing jazz. And That speaks to how multi-talented you are, doesn't it?
Thank you very much. I try to be as varied as possible as a performer. It's for me, it's very, very important to be able to do a lot of things, you know, encompass a lot of styles. It contributes to, you know, your personal growth, your professional growth, and obviously it also gives you a wider range of things that you can do on stage and off stage and things like that. Yeah. So.
And now we're talking of growth. When did it all start for you?
Well, actually, my earliest thought is of me being in infant school and sitting around in the classroom and singing and beating a tambourine and beating a triangle and stuff like that.
So I remember the days when you used to have to play the triangle for the little music production.
Exactly,
yes.
And that my earliest memory is of doing that as a little child. So I suppose that is when it actually, you know, I got bitten by the bug, basically.
Okay.
So yeah.
So the singing or the acting, which is the first love?
The first love is always singing. Always singing. I've been singing, as I just said, I've been singing since I was that high. The acting came as a natural progression to the singing and the dancing. I started dancing probably in my late teens. So the natural progression was obviously to do the acting as well, see if I can do that. Yeah.
And formal training in all areas.
And formal training in dance. That's actually the only formal training that I've had. I've always sung since I was a little kid, so that was always present. Danced. I started in the Barbados Dance Theatre. That was then the Barbados Dance Theatre. So that's the only formal training. The acting, I stumbled into while I was at university in London. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now you are back home on a bit of a holiday.
Yeah.
But you are gonna be busy once you get back because Moulin Rouge, the musical, tell us about it.
Moulin Rouge, I don't know if everybody's seen the Baz Luhrmann movie, Moulin Rouge, but they developed a musical of the movie, and it's about the love story between a young artist and a showgirl, and all the people that they encounter in the Moulin Rouge in Paris. It's got a long history, that building, of putting on dinner shows and stuff, and variety shows and stuff like that. So it all takes place in and around the Moulin Rouge, and it's a wonderful love story.
And what's your role?
I play a fictitious person called Toulouse-Lautrec. He's an artist, and I think the design of the show was inspired by his paintings of the Moulin Rouge and the people inside, the people who went to Moulin Rouge. There are lots of artist impressions of people, and that Toulouse-Lautrec did, and I think that has inspired mostly the design of the whole musical. Yeah.
What for you is the determination in whether or not you'll accept a role?
For me, it's the material, it's the script. I will always take that into consideration first and foremost, and how the character is depicted and the story of the character. Yeah, that's how I will determine whether or not I do a
and in
character.
that characterization, is it usually where you can see yourself in the character, or are you like others who love the challenge, and when you say this is the most removed thing from my persona.
Mhm.
So therefore, I'm gonna play it because I have to show these people how
Yes.
bad I really am.
You're absolutely right. It does span the two ends of that spectrum. Sometimes you know, you will come across a character and you go, oh, I identify fully with that character. And then at other times you'll have a character where you go, oh, I'm nothing like this character. It'll be interesting to see what this character is about, and if you can bring anything to the character.
Okay. Now, for you, you seem to have a large sense of temerity, stickability, because some of these tours you've been on have been long.
They have. I've been very lucky to have been part of a lot of the what we call the classics of, you know, the musicals that stay, and the big musicals. I've been very lucky to have been part of a lot of them, and I hope it continues.
Because we have to work, we have to eat.
Absolutely,
yes.
Absolutely. But yeah, I've been lucky in having, you know, being in musicals like Lion King and Miss Saigon, who you know, they'll always be around. Yeah.
What for you so far has been your favorite?
That's a really good question. I literally cannot pick out a favorite.
You can't?
No, I've loved every single show that I've been in. The ones that jump out are Lion King, because that was my first ever West End show. So that will always have a special place in my heart. And then there is a little show called Porgy and Bess.
Yes, you call it little.
That was an amazing experience for me. Also, there's We Will Rock You.
Yeah.
We Will Rock You. That was one of the ones where we say, you know, the character is so far away from who I am that it's a pleasure to play, and it was a pleasure to play Brit in that musical, and those are the three that actually stand out
for you,
for me, yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
But you even were in Jesus Christ Superstar.
I was,
yes, Sister Act.
Yes,
the Crucible Theatre in
Yeah.
Sheffield
Yeah.
saw you with Showboat,
Yep.
Blues in the Night.
Yeah.
Five Guys Named Mo,
Yes.
yeah, you know, and even Little Miss Sunshine.
Yeah.
So the repertoire is
long and varied.
Oh yeah, and that's a great thing.
Yeah.
Because I guess then it gives you the opportunity to really test your mettle.
Absolutely.
And to know, well, what can I bring from this particular production house that will translate well into this new role I'm working with. And that too is something you have to keep fervent in your mind, isn't it? That each producer operates differently. All might be called musical, but everybody operates so differently as artists.
Absolutely. This is why it's important that you have a varied experience of everything, because as you say, every show is different. So every producer, every director, every choreographer is going to work differently. You have to be able to harness that and give the results that they want, and be true to their vision, but also be true to the vision of the writer of the material. And it's a pretty difficult juggling act at sometimes, but you have to draw on that experience and that past experience and try to bring as much of yourself as well to the table, because ultimately that's what a producer, a director wants. They've seen something in you that they would love for you to bring to the table, so you have to be able to.
You have to bring it, because there's nothing saying that you can't be cancelled from the cast.
Absolutely.
Also, too, you're also eyeing the next project.
Yep.
So depending on who's in the audience scouting, we got to make sure.
Absolutely, you have to bring your A game every single night. We do 8 shows a week usually, but you have to bring your A game every night, because you, as you said, you don't know who's sitting in the audience. So,
okay. Now we're gonna have lots more to unpack, but we're gonna take a break, and then we'll be back. You'll get to see and hear some of what he's been up to.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb. From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kia Lewis, General Practitioner and Healthy Lifestyle Advocate. Good nutrition starts at home.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. On empty streets, just an alley creeper, lying on his feet, and fighting, screaming, time without, with the pain and anger, I can't see a way out. Ain't no time. I heard him say, all I want is a future. Move out of my way. I want it all. Yeah. I want it all. What? I want it all. When you want it. I want it all. Yeah. I want it all. I want it all. I want it all.
Yes, that is Ian Carlisle there performing I Want It All. And he spoke about that We Will Rock You and that tour, and he enjoyed it. Now, how do you keep the energy up? And how do you keep the legs alive? Because when you burst onto stage, it's
do you know?
fire.
Oh, thank you. Do you know what? When you're doing what you love doing, it's an amazing thing, and that feeling of doing what you love doing, it carries you through. It gives you the energy. It gives you a purpose, and that's what I try to remember every time I perform.
Okay.
But having said that, we do have to keep our physical stamina up. I go to the gym, and really doing a show every night, 8 shows a week, is a cardio workout, really, basically. So, but we do have to keep our physical, strength up, because it is rather demanding sometimes.
I can see that it is.
Yeah.
The costuming I like.
Yes.
I love the costuming, because that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Before I forget, let me extend to you birthday greetings.
Thank you.
Yes, belated
Thank you
birthday.
very
He
much.
celebrated yesterday. No, we will not ask him how old he is.
Thank you very much.
I will not. They can judge, they can guess, and like I always say, as long as you guess less than what it actually is, then you're right.
Then we're fine.
Yeah, we're fine. We're fine. We're not lying. You called the number. I didn't. So we're good. Right? Now, the genres that we're working through, because you seem to have that ability to do it all.
Thank you.
In terms of the vocals. And I guess too that's part of a family thing too, isn't it?
It is. Do you know what? My family is so incredibly talented. It's ridiculous. It's not even only the performers of the family. It's whatever we put our hands to. It always, it's always amazing.
It just works out.
Yeah, it just works out. The genres in the family are amazing. There's me, who are musical theatre. You have Jaco, who's a recording artist, a gospel recording artist, and recently ordained minister as well. So we also have the Manor Twins back in London, who are also gospel artists. My other cousin, who is also a ordained minister, and Wayne Jackman, who is a local performer as well.
And I think you got an opportunity to perform just for fun with them recently.
I did, yes. I was celebrating my birth night on Monday night, and during the day, Wayne came to see me at my parents' where I'm staying, and he said he had that gig at QP. So obviously I went to see him. Yeah, and he called me up on stage. So it was very impromptu, but I loved it. It was so much fun.
Yes.
I had the best birth night ever. So
that is awesome. Yeah. That is awesome. Yeah. Now, also too, in terms of your other performances, we have another video now. This is Jazz Live. Actually Ian's impromptu birthday performance, as he claimed it was, but I'm not believing it. I think you planned, you rehearsed, you sounded great on stage, by the way.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
It was awesome. Now, what more are we looking to do in terms of 2024, your development as a professional? We'll take a break and come right back and talk about that.
Sure.
Yes.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love cruise.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. It's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
So good in a party yet. You know why?
My friend, you don't plan to get her. Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it. Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
I'm Anne St. John, a consultant pediatrician. When packing healthy lunch boxes, do include a fruit, which includes a banana, apple, orange, or grapes to supply fiber. Aim for low-calorie packaged snacks without the mention of flour or sugar amongst the four ingredients on the back label. 1 in 3 children in Barbados is affected by overweight or obesity. Let us join together as parents and care providers to reduce the further development of this chronic non-communicable disease within our communities.
Kids Karaoke is a platform for young aspiring singers to shine and express their musical abilities. Tune in to CBC TV8 on Mondays at 5:30 p.m. and repeat it on Saturdays at 2 p.m. and enjoy the performances of these talented young singers.
For the past 19 years, QFM has been sharing with you, learning from you, and together building a community for all mature audiences. That's why we say Q is good for you. To our Q family, we say thank you for staying connected to Q 100.7 FM. QFM is a station of the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation. CBC, celebrating 60, connecting Barbadian communities.
Are you a youth group, 4-H club, school, Cub Scout, or Brownie Pack, or any organization or club with children ages 4 to 11 years? If yes is the answer, then we at Fun School, we're looking for you. Let's have fun singing, dancing, listening to amazing stories.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We're back, and Ian is still with me here, but we can't keep him forever. So, what does 2024 hold in store for you?
2024, I think this year is the year. Obviously, I will continue with the musical theatre because that's my love. I love musical theatre, and hopefully this year will be a year that I spread my wings a little bit more into TV and movies. So
awesome,
yeah.
TV and movies. So let's look for the Bajan on the big screen. Yes. Now, before we leave, the Barbados Chess Federation will be in the house tomorrow talking about their achievements and plans for 2024. We're going to have Patrick Hutchinson. He's a Black Lives Matters protester, and we'll talk all about that, as well as the 2024 Barbados Film Festival. But we also want you to go on out to be a part of the Journey with Tremaine this on the 20th at Bushy Park from 1 until 6. You're going to have tug of war, tire rolling, a 50-meter race, egg and spoon, car audio and exhaust sound off. One of my favorite things. I love to hear those systems kicking off, guys. So I want to hear that. And Tremaine will be allowing his fans and those in the crowd to accompany him on the drives in his rally car. And remember, that special invitation is extended to those with special needs. The Talmavon home will be around to share in that experience at Bushy Park. We've run out of time. I want you to have a brilliant and blessed Wednesday. And thank you again, Ian Carlisle, for being with me. You're going to get to relax. It's worked for me. Yeah. So here's from Ian and myself. A great morning to you.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning.